Rounds 2 and 3 of the 2024 ABB FIA Formula E World Championship brings us back to Saudi Arabia. We're in Diriyah on the street circuit at the UNESCO World Heritage Site for rounds 2 and 3, the double in Diriyah. The track is very challenging as well. It is a total of 2.495 kilometres, a start and finish line offset here as well. From turn 5 all the way down to turn 14, it's almost like you're running a bobsleigh, single file downhill, very limited overtaking zones. The attack mode activations on the outside of turn 19. Turn 18 is the first corner on the track when the lights go out. It's going to be a very interesting E-Prix here. 2 races under the lights. And season 10 kicked off in Mexico with Pascal Wehrlein taking the victory. It's a double here in Diriyah before a month break before Sao Paulo and Tokyo in March. April seasons with a double at Misano before going to Monte Carlo. Then it's the season rounds out with double headers. Berlin, then Shanghai, Portland and London rounds out. In the driver's standings, Pascal Wehrlein leads on 28 points. 10 back is Sebastian Werry, Nick Cassidy in third, followed by Gunther Evans, Vern Hughes, Van Dorn, Dennis and Nato, the last of the point scorers. In the team standings, it's Tag Heuer Porsche on 28, Duclair to Jaguar TCS Racing. Envision followed then by Maserati, DS Penske same points as Maserati, near McLaren and Andretti the last team with points. Hello everybody and welcome to Watch Along qualifying for the 2024 Diriyah E-Prix. This is rounds 2 and 3 of season 10 and the first of 2 qualifyings coming up this weekend ahead of 2 races. We've got around about 7 minutes to go until the green light goes on. Let's give you a quick look at who's going out first of all the first group stage of this session, and that is going to be Pascal Wehrlein, our winner from last time out in Mexico, Nick Cassidy, Mitch Evans, Jake Hughes, then Jake Dennis, Oliver Rowland, Eduardo Mortara, Nick De Vries, Nico Muller, Robin Freins and Lucas de Grassi. I know you can't see it on the screen, but Group 2 will include Sebastian Buemi, Maximilian Gunther, Jean-Eric Verne, Stoffel Van Dorn, Norman Nato, Sasha Fennestraus, Sam Bird, Johan Jaruvela, Dan Ticktum, Antonio Felix da Costa, and Sergio Camara, who was slowest this morning. Okay, we've got a bit of time. Let's cross over then to the world feed and join Jamal Jamas, Andre Lotto and Karun Chanhog.
Together on the weekend, you know, they're all good drivers and good cars, but really to put it together, that is the key, and to start at the front. So let's see if we can repeat that amazing performance from last year.
Yeah, I mean, we've only had one race, but we have got the championship standings as they are right now. And Karun, I'm going to come to you on this one because, you know, if you just kind of like look at the position of where someone like Antonio Felix da Costa is in comparison to where Pascal Wehrlein, such a great start, is the pressure starting to build already? Because that's amazing to me after race 1, that would be the case.
I think, you know, there is always pressure if your teammate wins a race and you get 0 points. And, you know, Antonio was out on the opening lap, so he didn't really have a chance to also do that race and build that little bit more experience coming into it. So there will certainly be pressure. He's not had a great practice. He was bottom of the times in the last practice session we just had. So all of that will start to add up. And your teammate is the ultimate barometer. You know, that's the reference point that everybody up and down this pit lane is looking at, especially your team bosses. Yeah. And so, yeah, I think for Da Costa, there will be a pressure. But for everybody else, you know, there are only 16 races. And every opportunity that someone like Wehrlein scores big points means that it's one less for the others to catch him. Yeah.
We watched FP2 together, Karun, whilst we was having a bit of lunch. Just how much can people at home kind of read into FP2 today?
Well, you can see that the lap times are still 3 seconds off the best lap times from last year. So it will be interesting to see who can get the best out of the tires and get the right sequence. You don't know if it's going to be out push, cool push, or outfield push. And yeah, that will be the key factor. Yeah.
I think one of the differences in Formula E to other categories is practice isn't always a form guide for the qualifying in the race. You know, we often see people who are outside the top 10 in practice end up in the finals in the duels. So I think it is a bit different to other championships. If you are new to Formula E, you know, and you're used to seeing the people quick in practice being quick in qualifying the race, that's not always the case here, and we do see it get jumbled up quite a lot.
Well, thank you very much, guys. It's all building, isn't it? The excitement on the way to the first qualifying session. Nikki is in the pit lane for us, actually. She's not far from us, and she'll be bringing us up to date with any news from the paddock. Nikki, it is quite a unique qualifying format here in Formula E, isn't it?
It really is, JJ. We absolutely love it. It's my favourite part of the day, that is for sure, because there is so much at jeopardy. There is so much at stake during the qualifying sessions. Now, it's a bit complicated, but to try and summarise it briefly, basically 22 drivers are split into two groups. We've got Group A and Group B. Now, Group A are the odd numbers in the championship standing. So you can see Pascal Wehrlein, our winner last time out, he's clearly at the top, so he's going to be in Group A. Group B, the evener numbers. Sebastian Buemi, the runner-up from last time out, is going to be in Group B. So these guys get 12 minutes each to set the fastest time possible. Now, there's a lot going on during that session. They're going to do their sort of warm-up lap, their push lap, which is the fastest lap, then a cool-down lap. They'll probably change their tyres at some point as well. So there's a lot going on. But the 4 fastest drivers from each group go through to the duels. And this is where it gets really good, because we have a combination of potentially teammates going up against each other in the quarterfinals, arch rivals in the quarterfinals going against each other. Clearly the winner from the quarters go into the semis, and then the winner of the semis go into that final shootout, the final duel, where 3 valuable points for pole position is up for grabs. Qualifying here is absolutely critical. Track position is everything here, so it's going to be super exciting. Keep your eyes on Sebastian Buemi. He's got a record of 16 poles, and he's doing really well this season. JJ, back to you.
We will keep an eye on him indeed, Nikki. Thank you very much. OK, we are getting closer to the action. Qualifying is on the way here in Diriyah, a circuit that is always guaranteed to be a thriller.
Yes, and we're all set to go, getting ready for the first part of qualifying that is about to get underway here in Saudi Arabia. Let's look at the track map as well and who goes out first. Now, previous pole time here, you might notice in the 108s on your screen in front of us this morning, we were doing 113s. Yesterday, we were doing 115s. The track, incredibly dusty, and it is still taking a lot of time to get used to out there on the circuit. SHG, Sean, is in the Twitch chat and says, hey Josh, both Jaguars and both apps are out in Group A. Yep, Cassidy and Evans. Then also in Group B, as you say, going out there with Muller and Degrassi Group A. And then Group B, Buemi, Gunther, Verne, Van Dorn. By the way, Buemi and then the other Jaguar powertrain from Cassidy and Evans. Now, Cassidy and Evans have changed power units and batteries coming into today after Buemi shut down yesterday. They couldn't figure out what caused the problem. So they removed it completely and they changed over the power unit. So fingers crossed that the Jaguars are okay. Do you remember the time when there were so many driver replacements in a single season during Gen 1 of Formula E? Yeah, this first season, there was about, 30-something drivers out of 24 cars. It was 34, so 36, something crazy among the board. And then we had just several problems after several problems with the first generation of Formula cars. Just have a quick look here to see if my shirt's not setting off the camera or anything, is it? No, it's okay. It's coming through. So pole time last year in the second race, a 108.693. That was set by Jake Hughes. Fast up in the race was a 109.010. We haven't even got anywhere near that so far in this session. Track temperature's at 30 degrees. Air temperature is 28, 25% humidity, 35% chance of rain. It's always saying that. It seems to be stuck across the board. That's dropped to 25% now, I understand. It's 1 kilometre an hour wind speed, though, out there on the circuit, so there's still a few bits going on. Session should have started by now. It has not, which I'm surprised about. We should have had a green light. 2 groups of qualifiers you can see on the blog. Jess Ball is going to be joining me in the commentary box for the race later on. And then tomorrow we'll have another commentator alongside as well as Ed Hunter, not with us this weekend in Saudi Arabia. Always takes this race off as well, as he doesn't very strong views against the Saudi government as well with the human rights record as well. And I, for one, agree. The human rights record in Saudi Arabia is atrocious and continues to this day. The amount of motorsport here and maybe sport around the world isn't the greatest, but that's Ed, way more informed than me as well. And we did something on the Grid Tonight show a few days ago on the Grid Network if you want to watch. It's time for qualifying then here in Saudi Arabia. Let's hand back over to JJ.
Well, here in Diriyah, it was Pascal Wehrlein who took the win last year as the Porsche driver doubled up on the top step of the podium. But will they have the same success today? Well, Nikki is with the team in the pit lane.
I am indeed. I am here with the boss, the big man, team principal, Florian Modlinger. Florian, no pressure, but all eyes are really on you. I mean, Pascal Wehrlein has set himself up in a brilliant position at the moment. Start of the season, win first time out. He's done really well here in the past. So, yeah, all eyes are on you.
Yeah, this we have to now see. Qualifying will be quite different than normal. Track is still slow, but clearly great, amazing start of Pascal into the season. But now it's qualifying and it all starts from zero again.
How much is he going to, and also Antonio Felix da Costa, of course, how much are they going to push in qualifying? Because we've seen it's like an ice rink out there. And yet we also know that the track position in qualifying is critical for this race. So it's going to be such a fine balance.
Yes, that's exactly now the risk chance management, what you do. Because the track is so slippery, it's still 4 to 5 seconds slower than last year in qualifying. And this means how much risk you take, but you can easily put it here in the wall, then you lose everything. And that's now this fine line, and that will be a big, big challenge, and also timing-wise, because we will see in qualifying also a huge track evolution, and everybody will try to be the last one on track.
So if you're going to be trying to do your push laps as, you know, close towards the end as possible, can you give us just but without giving away too much, how will it work when you do your tyre change? When is that going to take place?
I think everybody will have enough margin to see when the others are going out. You change normally your tires and then you wait who is going, who is not going, and then will be a battle to the line already in the out, and when the cars go out, the battle will start.
And you've obviously spoken to him most recently. How's Pascal feeling? Where's his head at?
He will do his best as always. I'm confident for him and also for Antonio. And then let's see. Let's try our best in these difficult conditions.
Now, we've also recruited one of your old drivers, Andre Lotterer, onto the dark side for this weekend. He's doing a fantastic job. Can you tell us a bit of insight into Andre Lotterer? What's he like?
Andre is most of the time calm, nice guy. He can be also very emotional if some things go not in the right direction. But I enjoyed to work with him.
Excellent. Right, we want to see an emotional Andre Lotterer at some point today. Florian Modlinger, all the best of luck today. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, I better stay on the right side of you, Andre. Emotional. I didn't know that.
Well, who isn't in this sport, right?
This is very true. We all want to win. We all want to win. Quick talk about Porsche as well. Actually, I'm not going to ask you because you'll probably be biased. You're not going to say anything bad, are you, about your own team? Karun, what are they doing that is like, so great at the minute?
I think it's about optimizing the package they've got and putting a weekend together. It's so tricky to get the details right, because what you have to remember with these Formula E cars that we see, the chassis are all the same, aerodynamics are all the same, tires are all the same, the batteries are all the same. So there's a small area behind the battery, which is the motor, the powertrain, and a lot of it with software that the drivers and the teams have to get right. And the teams that are winning are the ones that are maximizing that small area of variability and really extracting every little bit of performance.
Well, we're just here outside the Jaguar pit. Mitch Evans, Nick Cassidy, two top drivers. I mean, yourself, Andre, you're a man, as well as being super quick on the track, you've had that ability to support some past champions. How do you see this dynamic?
Yeah, I must have done something right for them. I guess the combination of me coming from endurance and maybe a difference in age would create a bit of a more comfortable scenario in the team, thinking of the benefit of a team. But a team like Jag, of course, they want to have top two drivers, but then you have to also face the competition and understand that there might be friction, but that's where you need to be able to control them.
I think one thing we should point out is this: Mitch Evans is getting into the car very late. They were doing some last-minute setup work on the car. The cars you see, there's a little sign on the front saying Park Ferme, so they need to go into that a few minutes before the session. And Jaguar were literally cutting it to the final second. So I think quite a bit of work still going on in the back of this car, which is unusual. Normally, you know, they want to get it all signed off. So clearly some changes coming from FP2.
Is that uncomfortable from a driver's perspective?
No, I don't think so, unless it's something that's unplanned and then, of course, like a technical problem or something. But here might have just been like a last-minute rear geometry change. You know, after looking at the data, there's really not much time in between the sessions after you decide. From looking at the data, what do you really want from the car?
Yeah. So we heard Nicky talking earlier to Florian Modlinger about the track and that it's slower, Karun, and actually, you know, quite unstable for the drivers. You're going to talk us through it, aren't you?
Yeah, it's you know, it's tricky here with the wind as well. You know, we are out in the desert. The wind's changed 180 degrees from what it was yesterday. It's a fascinating track. You got a track of two halves here. The first bit really from turn 1 till they get to turn 16. The steering wheel's never really straight. It's one corner into the other. They're coming thick and fast. And if you, especially between 3 and 14, if you make an error in any one corner, it has a big knock-on effect to the rest of that sector of the lap. And then it sort of opens up a bit. You got really the second half of the lap is 2 straights and a couple of slow corners. So it is a track of 2 halves, but having the confidence to get in a good rhythm and a flow in the first half of it is absolutely key, I think, to getting a good lap time.
And what about kind of like the evolution of the track from FP2 to quali now? How much will it have changed? How much is that going to affect the drivers?
Yeah, a lot. I think the lap times will still improve. Let's see how much the wind brought back some dust, but we're still 3 seconds off the lap times from last year. And so let's see. And the dynamic of qualifying, like I said before, you want to be last one on track. And also, it's more difficult for the drivers. It's so slippery, so the margin for error is much bigger. So yeah, you really want to put that lap together, and that's already a big part of the job.
There's 2 different games of risk-reward you're playing here. One is the driver themselves, how much do they risk versus how much time they're going to gain. 2 is the team, because absolutely the last lap will be the fastest in terms of track evolution.
Yeah.
But quite often you get a yellow flag or a red flag or an incident on the last lap, and then you lose that last lap. So that is the game we're going to be seeing everyone play up and down this pit lane.
Yeah. Well, the drivers are in the seats. They're ready to go. The pressure is building. They've got to go out there and deliver. So it's time now to go out to our commentary. So let's find out who'll be setting the pace and who'll be sitting top of the grid in the race later today. Karun, off you go. Go and join our commentary team of Dario Franchitti and Tom Brooks.
Qualifying is about to get underway here in Saudi Arabia as the 3rd round is underway, and we cannot wait to see what we are going to have. De Vries will head out onto the circuit. He's had 6 victories here as well in the duels, 9 times in the quarterfinal, 2 poles, and the only driver as well here that has won in 2 different eras of Formula E as well. As you see here now coming through, what we're going to see. 9th position for Jake Dennis, 9 career appearances in the dual finals, 50% more than any other driver. Pascal Wehrlein last year doing the double, he's out in this session, he's our championship leader as well. There's so much to look forward to. And Group A is underway here in Saudi Arabia for the first of 2 Diriyah E-Prix. The cars will venture out to the track. Track position here is going to be incredibly key. And this is going to be very essential to see who sends their cars out first. Right now, it's a bit of a ghost town in the pit lane. No, there's a McLaren coming out. Jake Hughes is going to venture out on the circuit first, so he wants clean air out there as well. No slipstreaming as he comes through turns 1, 2 and 3, and then down the bobsleigh section. You can see on your driver tracker where they are. Cassidy's heading out there as well. So it's Evans and de Grassi still in the pits. They haven't left yet. We'll see number 11 and number 9. de Grassi 11, Evans is 9. If they appear on your driver tracker, you'll know that they're out there on the circuit. Hopefully you know the driver numbers in this session. Wehrlein's 94, Cassidy's 37, Evans is 9, Hughes is 5, Dennis is 1, Rowland's 22, Mortara is 48, De Vries 21, Muller 51, Freins is 4, and de Grassi is 11. If you're watching along with us for the first time in Formula E. Start and finish line is an offset here. to the start line at the exit of turn 17 on the run to 18 where the drivers are coming through now. Then we have attack mode at turns 18, 19 and 20. But the finish line and where the timing line is for this qualifying session, that comes out of turn 21. So that's the last corner where you're seeing several of the cars coming through now on the driver track. And that is the control line for these sessions. And that's where we'll see the time start to come down. First sector already for Hughes is a 26.199. Degrassi, second sector, 22.790. We'll see those change around as well as they do their first lap. Remember, they are limited in the group stages to 300 kilowatts per hour. In the duels, they were allowed to go up to the maximum 350 kilowatts per hour. But in qualifying A and B, drivers are limited to what they are in the race. Race pace normally dictated at 300 kilowatts per hour. That's then extended with 2 attack modes, which you can use in the race, and have either 2 or 6 minutes in your first stint, 4 and 4 in the second, or 6 and 2 in your first 2 strategies. There's 3 different attack mode options to go for in terms of minutes you're allowed to use. Once you go through those, you're allowed then up to 350 kilowatts per hour. Across the line then for Jake Hughes, he sets our very early benchmark of a 123.328. I wasn't expecting that to be a bigger change compared to what we're going to see in the remaining qualifying formats, as he now very much begins a harder power lap time. Cassidy's crossed the line on a 123.833, half a second off. Across the line comes Roland, 126.961. Frines, a 128.446. Muller, 119.925. He's got 3 seconds faster, so Muller might have been pushing a little bit hard. Dennis crosses the line, starts a time. Mortara going across too. Dennis, a 132.786. He was very much just lifting off. This is Hughes, though, and his first 2 sectors are good. Hughes is, we'll have a look at the full battle cam so you can have a look at them. So Hughes' first sector, it was a 23.981. Second sector is a 21.061, but Roland's already gone fastest. Now Dennis in that first sector with a 23.660. So already there's a few time changes there. Jake Hughes is coming up towards the line now. And is he going to go any faster? Hughes does, a 1:15.368. Still not the maximum power lap times we were seeing last year of the pole time from Hughes himself of a 1:08 as well. Cassidy's middle sector's fastest. Dennis's fastest sectors 1 and 2. 23.660, 20.142. Verline's taken the second sector to go fastest. Here comes Cassidy then. Cassidy does a 1:14.110, already getting to the times that we saw this morning. Jake Dennis now in the Andretti Global coming through. He's currently 10th overall. De Vries down 11th. It's Cassidy, Frines, Roland, Hughes. They've got the top 4. Dennis comes into the last corner now at turn 21. Dennis top, 1:14.007. So Dennis then taking over with top honours so far. Verline, 1:13.774. So Pascal Verline takes over at the top. De Vries goes into 5th place. He's taken a 1:14.439. Evans is all out of shape and goes very, very wide. Misses the apex by a country mile coming into turn 18. It's compromised him through 19 and 20 as he comes into the last corner now at turn 21. Hard on the brakes, no regen needed in this because it'll slow the car down on acceleration. Evans lost 4/10 in that little slide coming into turn 18. It shows you how difficult the track is at the moment. Evans then with a 1:14.212. Cassidy into the last corner, 3rd fastest at the moment, doesn't improve, 9/10 down, and that's their first runs done in Group A here in Saudi Arabia. Verline, Dennis, Cassidy, Evans at the moment are top, and then outside the duels, Frines, De Vries, Roland, Mortara, Hughes, Degrassi and Muller. Let's go over to Tom and Dario.
The tyre, you like the tyres are hot, you've got them in their operating window, you might not change tyres during this pit stop, or you might decide that's what you want to do, or you might just do a tyre pressure bleed, drop the tyre pressures down. So Lucas Degrassi again struggling, but I have to say Dan Cooper put the power down
Evans
very
radio.
well, and heading up the hill, longer straight.
At 18, it's just pushed on massively. It's been quite late.
Interesting from Evans, as we see Degrassi. Middle sector's twitching around still into the last corner. What can Lucas do? Oh, he's gone very deep.
Corinne, you were hearing the bit of the team radio there. What do you reckon for Mitch Evans?
Well, I couldn't actually hear the team radio down the pit lane because this siren's blasting down here. All the cars are coming into the pits, guys, for new tyres. So the teams all get 3 sets of tyres over a double-header weekend, which they are then free to choose how they plan their runs across the 2 days. I'm looking in the Mahindra pits right now, McLaren as well. Pretty much everyone has chosen this lap to come in, change tyres, and have another go. So the tyres are all the same compound and construction, but the difference is you will have cooler tyres when you go back out on a fresh set, and that's one of the challenges when you're sliding around. The temperature goes through the roof.
It's a very good point Karim raises there, actually. Just over 4 minutes left in the session. You've got to get them to win that right operating window. You were alluding to it earlier on, Dario, and it's just so critical because if you haven't got them switched on, you're not going to be able to get the optimum time.
It's everything now. It is, and Andre and I were talking earlier about like 20 years ago it was kind of a black art. Now it's understood so well of exactly what you have to do to bring these tyres into their operating window, and it is one of the key sciences to making a racing car go quick.
Well, here's Pascal Wehrlein. Pole position, of course, last time out at Mexico City. The last 5 drivers, actually, who started from pole position in a Formula E race have gone on to take the victory. So there's a good stat on the side of whoever manages to get atop the order here this afternoon and into the race tonight.
Easier said than done as well, because Pascal wants to leave things as late as possible to get the perfect track conditions, but if somebody in front of him goes off, causes a yellow flag or a red flag, it's all for nothing. So there's a lot riding on these next 3.5 minutes, and some of it just is not within your control.
Zach Brown there, CEO of McLaren Racing, just to the left of team principal Ian James. Great to see Big Zach in town here in Saudi Arabia and supporting the efforts of the Neon McLaren Formula E team. See what Nick Cassidy is going to be able to do. Jaguar currently 3rd and 4th fastest. If we look at the results of FP2 this morning, we had 4 different powertrains inside the top 5. We're now looking at Jake Hughes. Of course, he managed to get his first ever pole position in Formula E this time here last year. I wonder whether he is going to be on for getting himself into the duels. McLaren have looked okay so far this weekend, but they've not been a standout performer.
Look at the correction on those front tyres. If you watch that left front tyre, just absolutely sliding around and just catching the slides down the hill, and every mile an hour you can carry extra down here is lap time in the bank. Now you're at the bottom of the track. This is the lowest point of the circuit. You're going to start going uphill through the left here, double right-hander, now steeply uphill, heading to turns 18, 19, and up to the finish line after turn 21.
Yeah, there's a lot to go on. There's a lot to find out as well in terms of overall power. Jake Hughes at the moment is really, really on it, and he's pushing as hard as he possibly can. It's a 1 minute 1, 2, 3 as he comes into 18 and 19, past the pit lane, in towards down the last 2 corners at turn 20 and 21. Flicks the car in. Hughes looks very much on control here across the line, and he's fastest, a 1:13.207, fastest time of the weekend so far. Wehrlein then is 0.567 back, and he's having to fight for control, and I think he's backed off. Yeah, Wehrlein, I think, definitely is backed off coming down through the June section. He's regenning the car, so this is a very much a banker lap for Wehrlein. He's second at the moment.
Looking pretty handy so far this weekend.
You can hear the commentary from Tom and Dario in the background, because on the onboards it bleeds through quite clearly. Wehrlein then on a very faster job in the next lap around. Let's hear from Jake Dennis, who's on the radio.
Team radio for Dennis here.
Okay, so at this rate, typical out lap, and you can afford a slow build, so a 130, which is +8 to normal, +8 to normal. It's the same sequence with the guys behind you.
+8 to normal. Interesting look around there then as Wehrlein continues to push, continues to find the right time. Hughes on a 1:13.207. Wehrlein, Roland, Dennis, he's down in 4th place. Cassidy, Evans, Muller, Freins, De Vries, Mortar, Degrassi, they're 5th to 12. So 5th to 11 on the graphics at the moment. As SSG says, it was so confusing to watch when there was like 35 drivers in total in one season. Muller into P5, he's down to 7th now. Wehrlein, they're very close to the wall as he comes through the June sections with 30 seconds to go of this qualifying session. definitely trying to find as much speed as he can. He's up in the first sector by 77 thousandths of a second. So Verline does have that advantage currently to go through as he comes through, down, in towards turn 14. A very hard break at the bottom of the hill, then back up to power as you come through 15, 16, then out of 17. Verline looking very good indeed as he comes down across the start line. He's up in the middle sector by 0.3 of a second. The checkered flag is out. Qualifying 1 has concluded. Hughes is fastest of all in the first sector as well. It's Verline who's got sector 2 by 0.3. Cassidy and Evans and the two Jaguars are very close together. Mortara first to take the checkered flag. He goes up into third position. Remember, the top 4 go through into the duels. De Vries misses out. He's in 10th position. Degrassi's down 11th. Here comes Pascal Verline up towards the line. Verline is fastest. It's a 1:12.872. Hughes has gone very deep, coming into turn 18 and 19. Hughes is missing out right now. Jake Dennis is in 18 and 19. Dennis is 5th, the champion from last year at the moment, not having the start to the season he wanted, but 9th in Diriyah. He's not even going to get through to the duels at the moment. Hughes, 1.1 down on his own best time. They really cost him. Dennis is fastest in the middle sector. It's the top 4. Degrassi's got 3rd. Mortara won't go through. Dennis manages to clutch it back. He goes fastest. Muller, surprising everyone, he kicks out his teammate Degrassi. Muller goes 4th, and Friends kicks out both of the abs. Friends with vision. Cassidy goes top. Hughes is 4th in danger. Friends is out. Evans goes 4th. Out goes Jake Hughes, last year's pole sitter from race 2. Won't start. Roland in 10th place. He only goes 7th, and that's the end of Group A with Cassidy, Dennis, Verline and Evans, the top 4 going through. Fantastic job from both the Jaguars. They timed that to perfection to go out together. They got the toe. Cassidy, Dennis, Verline, Evans, they're the 4 through. Hughes, Friends, Roland, Muller, Degrassi, Mortara, De Vries out. Here's Cassidy.
I could not do better. I could not do better. I could not do better.
It's P1. It's P1. Got it, mate. Nice one.
I could not do better. He didn't need to do better. It was an astonishing lap time out there on the board straight away for Cassidy, and he has taken P1. Let's go back over to Tom.
Jake Dennis, Pascal Verline, Mitch Evans, the 4 drivers that make it through into the duels. Disappointment for Jake Hughes and Robin Fries, etc. Let's have another look at confirmation of the results. So there are the top 4 that go through. Hughes, Fries, Roland, Muller, Degrassi, Mortara and De Vries all not making the cut. Crucially there, Dario as well, the 4 Mahindra-powered cars all at the bottom of the order.
And it's not a good stat for the Mahindra guys, but they're trying to just get some semblance of foundation to start building again.
Yeah, it's a very good point. Let's hope that they are going to make some more forward progress come at the race here tonight. Just having a look at track and air temperature, saying roughly about the same for the time being, but that was a real frenetic end to the session, and Jake Hughes will be disappointed with that. He was the fastest overall in the first sector on that final flying lap, Dario.
Yeah, they lost 3/10 through the last sector. You can see him going wide in turn 18, just overdid the braking, I think, and he lost the front end of the apex and slid wide, and that was all it took.
Yeah, disappointment there for Jake Hughes, rather, I should say, to not make it through. Pascal Verline, of course, though, did manage to make the cut. Good time for him, especially considering where Porsche were languishing this morning after free practice outside of the top 15. Let's have a look at this onboard here, Dario, coming through.
Got a bit of traffic. I was just going to say we didn't have any traffic incidents or yellow flags, but clearly we did have some traffic incidents we didn't see with the Mahindra. Pascal Verline not going to be happy with that one.
Yeah, disappointment there for Pascal Verline to have just been balked on that flying lap. Mitch Evans comes back into the pit box then. Not a bad session for the Jaguar team, both of them through.
Now remember, next time these guys run, it's going to be 350 kilowatts of power, so they're going to have to change the setup and change how they drive the track too.
Yeah, it's a very good point. See Evans just sliding his way through these right-handers. Just the lack of adhesion here also for Pascal Verline. Properly on the limit in Group A qualifying, especially with more power in the duels, as Dario said. That'll be hugely interesting. So our focus now shifts over to Group B qualifying. Another 11 drivers going head-to-head with one another. Only 4, of course, will make it through into the duels. 300 kilowatts of power, exactly the same circumstances as we had for Group A. So Sebastian Buemi for Envision. You've got Max Günther for Maserati. The two DS Penske's of Vernon Van Dorn. Then you've got Norman Nato, fastest in FP2 this morning. He's there for Andretti. Fenestraz for Nissan. Bird for McLaren. Then Deruvala, Tictum, Antonio Felix da Costa, and Sergio Sette Camara. Some big names in there, and I'm sure that one driver is going to be angrier than a mosquito in a mannequin factory after the end of this session. Well, Pascal Wehrlein just getting himself out of the car following his Group A qualifying. Don't forget about the Formula E predictor as well. Scan the QR code on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen and vote for who you think is going to get themselves onto pole position. Now, Max Günther, really impressive performance of him with Maserati in Monaco. He was right up the sharp end of the race, and I was thinking he's going to drop like a stone, but actually managed to get over the line in 4th place. In Mexico, sorry, beg your pardon. Yeah. And 4th place for him it was at the checkered flag, and therefore subsequently 4th in the championship.
Yeah, it was, and when you compare to the start they had last year, really, really impressive from Max Günther, and good to see, because I think...
Da Costa Radio.
Work on your tyres, especially front tyres, obviously. Just don't over-push it.
Basically a warning to come through then as we get underway for the second qualifying session. Cars venturing out onto the circuit. Just what we like to see here in the qualifying go around. And fingers crossed as well that they all play ball and keep their action going. So, Group B then, Sebastian Buemi, Maximilian Günther, Jean-Eric Verne, Stoffel Van Dorn, Norman Nato, Sasha Fenestraz, Sam Bird, Johan Deruvala, Dan Tictum, Antonio Felix da Costa and Sergio Sette Camara. They are the drivers going out in this session. So they'll venture out. Jake Dennis ended that session second fastest on a 1:12.779. Cassidy was a 1:12.619. Cut-off time. Evans was a 1:13.006. Hughes a 1:13.207 across the board as well. If you wonder what I do when I throw down to the pit lane, I literally just write my notes down up in the comms box for the session, and that's what I do in between the sessions so that I've got that reference going forward. So this is it then. So going through already to the quarterfinals for duels A, B, C and D will be Cassidy, Dennis, Wehrlein and Evans, and they'll go on the fastest times compared to the combines. So that's what we'll wait for the confirmation from Group B before we get the running order. First sector already. Fenestraz looking very good actually out there on the board. Just wanted to spot him on that one. He had the pace and had the ability to go a bit faster. As we take a look now at Sebastian Buemi, then cut back to Sasha Fenestraz in the Nissan, and followed also then by Sam Bird in the Neon McLaren as they come through out of 21. Do you remember the drivers that competed in Season 1? Yeah, we had Prost, Buemi, Bird, Verne came in round 3 in Punta del Este, Catherine Legg was there for a bit, Karun Chandhok, of course, was there. We had Marco Andretti for a couple of rounds, Scott Speed for a couple of rounds as well. There was loads of drivers in that first season. I used to have a list of all the drivers that competed in Formula E, literally a whole list of them for records that I used to do every weekend, and it got so annoying. And then they changed the format too much, so that went. And then I've just got the normal stats I've got for Formula 1 with wins, poles, fast laps, so on after that. Sette Camara, 1:13.606. That's a decent lap time. That would have put him a total of 9th fastest in Group A, so that's a banker lap. So the track's getting faster each time out there. Fenestraz, fastest personal best in sectors 1 and 2. It's Sam Bird who's got the fastest overall with sectors 1 and 2. Bird's first sector's a 23.163, second sector's a 20.027. So already Bird's got the momentum to go forward. Gunther's got 11, so everyone's set a banker lap time in this session, but really, it's Sete Kamara who set the main one. Here comes Sasha Fenestras then in the Nissan. It's a it's a 1:13.621. Total of 15 thousandths off the pace. But there goes Bird with the 1:13.147. That would have put him fifth fastest, so just outside of the Jules from Group A. So Bird is getting faster. Buemi might just go into the 1:12s here though with the fastest second sector of anybody. That's now been taken by Antonio Felix da Costa. Buemi 39 thousandths off the pace of Bird. It's a 1:13.186 for him. You can see it on the monitor alongside me up here in the commentary box. Sete Kamara third, Ticton fourth. Here goes NATO as they come through. Da Costa as well, and Vern following suit. NATO, fastest third sector of anybody. He goes up into third position. Da Costa goes into fourth. So it's looking good around Vern as he comes out of turn 20, just hits it nicely and away. Vern third on a 1:13 as we got Van Dorn coming through as well. Van Dorn now goes second, 20 thousandths on the pace. Wow, look at that top four. And look at Gunther. The top four separated by 66 thousandths of a second. Gunther top. Once again, he topped practice 1, he was second in practice 2, and now he's topping the Group B standings. 1:13.120 for Max Gunther. What about Sebastian Buemi? Stopped in practice 1, got a lot of running in practice 2 this morning. Has the ability with a new power unit in the back of that car, new battery pack to make sure that that car works. Was second in qualifying in Mexico, second in the race in Mexico. Stays fourth. But crucially, that last lap time was in a 10th of his own time. Here's Bird.
So gone in this session. Team radio for Bird.
Copy that. There's something radiating quite a lot of heat through my seat. Don't know what that is. Nothing you can do about it now.
So Bird's got something in with his seat. He's second fastest, but back in the pit lane. Everyone's starting to come in. Is Sete Kamara going to complete a lap time? I think he is. The ERTs that haven't been looking so good in pre-season testing might have a better run. Sete Kamara out of the last corner, boots it up to the line, goes fastest by over a tenth of a second, 1:13.055. Now that is a thousandth of a second faster than Mitch Evans' time that got him through to fourth position in Group A. So that's already a tenth quicker than Gunther, who's gone second. So the top four separated by a tenth and a half. But outside of that duel, we get Buemi, who's on the run. Then we get Vern, NATO, Da Costa, Ticton, Fenestras, Jeruvela. It's Sete Kamara top, Gunther, Bird, Van Dorn. Back to the boys.
Right, the real jeopardy here is, though, Dario, that if you do go out and decide to go for a banzai flying lap at the end of the session, if you're not able to do that because of a yellow flag or a red flag or something along the lines of that, then you could really, cost yourself a chance of getting into the field.
Yeah, absolutely. But if you go too early, you're basically sweeping the track for everybody else. There's Zamboni sweeping up and clearing everything up. You don't want to be that person either. So there's definitely a tightrope to be used. But you're also, this stuff is just out with your control. But you've got to take a very educated gamble, shall we say.
McLaren looking good in the first sector once again. Sam Bird quickest overall, as was his teammate JQ's team radio for Bird.
Sam, do you prefer an outfield push for your second run? Question.
Mate, I'll go with whatever you want. I trust you.
Buck.
Well, Laney's an engineer that he's worked with for a fair amount of time. They used to be a partnership back in the Envision days when Bird was part of that lineup.
What was it Laney used to say? Steve Lane used to say, eyes forward or something. He always had the same expression. It was basically, Sam, focus, get going now.
Yeah, get your head down and get on with the job. So, Dan Ticton ready to go out for his final run in the session. Currently ninth quickest Ticton. Amazing really how close the gap is. Just a second separating the 11 drivers, 6/10 between the top 10.
Yeah, and that will close up again, I would say. Johan Deruvela, P11 in the Maserati. He's the only rookie in the field. This is all very, very new for him. This is completely different to the F2 car that he's more used to driving.
Yeah, he's a very experienced driver, as you say, having raced in F2 and won actually in F2 over the years. But coming into Formula E, different tyres, different way of driving and adapting your style to that. It's going to take him a good sort of half a season or so, I would say, to bed into the unique quirks of an FE
Some
car.
people never get comfortable with it. The lack of grip, the lack of downforce. They've spent their whole life driving these cars with progressively more downforce and more grip, and all of a sudden they don't. And you see Sam Bird getting a bit of traffic from one of the DS Penske's, but did it hold him up?
Just a fraction there, I think, for Bird. It was always going to be a little bit of a build lap, this, his first representative flyer, but just look at the onboard and you can see him there fighting, correcting the steering wheel through these corners. The steering wheel, as Karun said before we got into qualifying, it's just never straight for the first half a lap.
No,
not a Formula E car.
Even the bits you would think it would be somewhat straight, they're catching big movements of oversteer, the back of the car sliding and they're correcting. Even on the brakes sometimes into the corner, trying to get the rear of the car to help the car turn into the apex and through the corner.
Everyone's on the lap time then with 2:35 to go. Here in qualifying, we're watching on a Sam Bird. He's just his banker lap time. He's not setting anything as fast as what we expected him to at the moment, but he's having the pace, he's having the advantage. It's what we like here. Bird turns in then, fires up towards the line, and he stays third fastest. 2/10 off the pace, but did improve in that third section when he turned it up to 300 kilowatts per hour. Fenestrau's sixth. Well, actually, it's an improvement from Sasha. It's a 1:13.294. So Fenestrau's does improve overall the time, but now everyone's still lifting up the lap. They're not setting it faster, are they, guys?
Oh, we've got 11 cars out on track. We're not going to have this in the duels in a few minutes' time, Dario. There is a very realistic possibility of traffic. We saw that with Birds last night.
Yeah, absolutely right, especially down here. If that's why you don't want to be out of sync with a lot of the other cars, because if you do get traffic in this part
so
right
we
here,
have
you know,
40-second margin, 40 seconds, so we really use the cool down. Let's focus on the tyre temps.
Wow, interesting.
Eyes forward.
Exactly what you were saying though. 40-second margin. That's in comparison to his nearest driver on track. So that's a good buffer to have there. So he doesn't have to worry about anybody in front or behind.
Some worried faces in the Maserati garage.
Not for the first time this season, I'm sure, and possibly not for the last as well. Big technical change, but look at this train of cars.
Good for the guys at the back. See Sebastian Buemi at the very back in the green.
This isn't going to go well. This is not going to go well. We've got a massive train. You can see on the driver tracker, they're all bunched up together. We knew this would happen. I thought it would happen in Group A. It hasn't. It's happening in Group B. The best of the track conditions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cars all together on the track. They're all going to spoil each other's lap times. This is again pandemonium. Look, the white flag's out because they're all slowing down. They're all now bunching up to try and get track position. 30 seconds left in the session. Van Dorn won't get going. They're not going to give each other track room. And now they're jumping the queue. Oh, this has happened again. It has happened once again in Formula E. Are they all going to get across the line in time? Actually, I'm not sure, but Wemmy might not do it. 5 seconds left, and they've all come to a stop. Checker flags out, and they all make it. Wow. Jeruvala last across the line, and they all make it. They had to really fly. 1 second to spare for Johan Jeruvala and Sebastian Buemi, but that was stupid. That is, look at that. Everybody, Silva Felipe laughing. The Porsche guys laughing as well. What is going on? Absolute pandemonium. ERT though, fastest. Who thought that from the team? That was Neo 333. That was having so many problems pre-season. They are now going to go through to the duels with Sergio Sete Camara. He's on a 1:13.005. Nobody at the moment is improving on lap times. Dan Ticktum stays in 9th position. He won't go any further in this session as we continue to blast off. Sete Camara does a 1:12.897. Not exactly what we saw this morning in Cassidy's a 1:12.619. That's a good time. Bird doesn't improve. Bird stays in 3rd position. Gunther crossed the line. He stays in 2nd. Vern comes across the line. Vern! 1:12.856. 41 thousandths faster. NATO goes 4th. Out goes Sam Bird. As we see Van Dorn. Van Dorn, does he improve? No. Van Dorn stays in 6th position. Buemi stays 7th. So the highs of Mexico goes to the lows of Diriyah. Jeruvala backs out. And that traffic costs them once again. Vern, Sete Camara, Gunther, NATO go through. Out goes Bird, Van Dorn, Buemi, Fenestrau's, Da Costa, Ticktum and Jeruvala. Must say though, fantastic for the ERT team, who have had nothing but problems for Sete Camara to go 2nd. Here's Vern.
The ERV.
That's it.
That's it indeed, Tom.
Yeah, P2 for Sergio Sete Camara. That is a really impressive lap, but 700th of a second between 1st and 4th.
Yeah, incredibly close in terms of the gap there as well. some couple of tenths of a second actually between third and fourth, wasn't there?
Between fourth and fifth, yeah, that's
Yeah.
a bit more than I was expecting.
Yeah, especially given how close it had been over the course of that one. But a meteoric lap from the double Formula E champion, Jean-Eric Verne, to go right to the top of the pile in the DS Penske exactly when it mattered. And when was the last time we saw Sergio Sette Camara making it into the duels as well? Hats off to the Brazilian driver on the back foot after a challenging weekend, to put it lightly, in Mexico City a couple of weeks ago. Pulled it right out of the bag to give ERT something to smile about here in Diriyah. So, it is Verne for DS Penske, Sette Camara for ERT, Maximilian Günther for Maserati, and Norman Nato for Andretti that progress forwards into the duels. Bird, Van Dorn, Buemi, Fenestraz, crucially, Antonio Felix da Costa as well, out of qualifying in the group stages. Dan Ticktum in 10th, and Jehan Daruvula in 11th place. It has set up an absolute treat for the duels.
It really has, as we now prep. I knew they were going to go to an ad break as well. There's no Formula E logo or anything, is there? They just literally get thrown in right to the deep end. So, what a qualifying session that was, as we open up the blog now and we get ready for the next part of the qualifying session. This, of course, will now go in to bring in the remainder of the factors. I'm just trying to find the correct driver tracker imaging up here in the comms box to bring it in. Nope, that's not it. What am I looking for here? It's that one and then that one. There we go. To get ready and all set up. So, what's going to happen in the next segment of qualifying? Well, your guess is as good as mine. It'll be Wehrlein and Dennis out first. Wow, the two who started Season 9 so dominantly with trading victories between the two. Dennis won round 1, Wehrlein won round 2 and 3, and then round 4 was won again by Dennis. But in Hyderabad, this is going to get absolutely epic. Cannot wait for this. So it's Wehrlein out first, then Dennis. I wonder what we're going to see. Any predictions in the group chat on YouTube and Twitch? Who will be the fastest? Who will be the slowest? Antonio Garcia for China in next FTCR Racing in round 3 and 9. Charles Peake, Justin Wilson was in there too. Matthew Brabham, Simone Di Silvestro, Frank Montani, until he was found out that he had, what was it, cocaine or something, got kicked out of the championship. Fabio Lima, final 2 races in Virgin in place of Jaime Alguersuari, now DJ Ora serving the first 4 races. Takuma Sato was in there too. As SHT points out, fantastic amount of people out there as well. But we wait for the quarterfinals, Jill 1. So we are just all preparing then for the action to venture out there onto the circuit. This will be a remainder of the duels, and we'll see who's hot and who is not going in as we'll get the interviews coming through. Just quickly there, Cassidy's time in the first session was a 1:12.619. Vern's was a 1:12.856. The track got 2/10 slower on that last run around, but everyone was held up together. They couldn't get a good run in, a quick run in together. So just bear that in mind for when we go qualifying in a few moments for the duels, that we might see slower lap times compared to what we did before. Anyway, time to head back over. JJ will be with Karun and Andre Lotterer down there in the pit lane. We've got around about 10 minutes until the start of the quarterfinals. So get ready, get set, get ready to go. Back over to the pit lane.
Okay, well, I'm here in the pit lane with Karun Chandok. That is kind of, I suppose, the end of Groups A and B going out for the first qualifying session. We've got our quarterfinals now. It was an interesting one, Karun.
Yeah, there was a lot going on in that session. Jake Hughes looked like he was on a good run. McLaren went for 2 different run plans, went for a lap early. Jake then made this big mistake. I'll just come back in here. Jake, into turn 18, when he got into this corner, just had that snap of oversteer, and that put him offline, heavily compromised his line and his run through there, so that messed him up. Mitch Evans got through to the duels, but it wasn't easy for him. If we just watch, I'll slow it down as we come through this long right-hander. Watch his hands here. He turns on a lot of steering lock. Then when he starts to pick the power up there, watch these purple lights. Now that is an indicator of wheel slip. So that's effectively the wheel spin there. And then he's just seesawing at the wheel. He's struggling and scrambling for grip. And even when we get over this little brow here into that same 80-90 chicane, again, just watch. The lights flashing, that tells him about the locking under braking. It's just really not digging into the road. He ended up nearly 4/10 away from his teammates' time.
Is that part of the battle, though, Karun? From what you've just shown me there, it seems like he's really fighting and pushing things to the limit to get essentially into the position that he did.
There's just no grip in the road, and if the drivers are going slightly over the limit of where that max level is, then they're sliding. And once you start sliding, the temperature goes up and you go into this sort of circle of doom where you never recover it. Sebastian Buemi was a big scalp, actually, second in the championship coming into this weekend. He's going to start 13th at best. This was him on his lap there. Again, just the driver just not quite comfortable with the car. Watch his run as he came through that right-hander and just didn't have the grip. He's going to be 13th at best. There was a lot of traffic as well as that lap would go on board the Maserati here with Jehan. And just look at that traffic jam.
Yeah.
Now, that is distracting as a driver. You know, you're trying to get your head in the right space and get geared up for that one big push lap. And you've got all of this stuff ahead of you. Jehan made it through with 1 second to spare. But mentally, that couldn't have been ideal prep, and he ended up bottom of the times there in that second group.
Oh, thank you very much, Karun. Well, should we go and find Nikki Shields? She'll be on the pit lane to get us all the information that we need.
Thanks, JJ. Yeah, I'm here with team principal at Jaguar TCS Racing, James Barkley. James, it doesn't happen often, but when it does, it's great for the viewers and for us because there's a proper rivalry here. Two teammates in the quarterfinals going head-to-head against each other, which on one sense means, you know, you've got one driver into the semis, but on the other sense, you know, one's not going through. What's your view?
That's great as a team, both cars through. That's a fantastic achievement. The track conditions today was very, very difficult to get a clean and a strong lap. So fantastic session from both Nick and Mitch to get through. And you say rivalry, this is teamwork, and we're here in the semi, all the way through the quarters, both cars through the duel. Is the first step of the weekend that you really want to be in a position as a team. So yeah, we go out now, and obviously one is going to go through, and we try and optimise the lap time with the other and see where that puts us on the grid. But yeah, I'm really pleased. A real lottery today, and before the session, if you talk to most of the team principals, we were all super nervous for this session.
I mean, you heard Nick Cassidy on the radio, really positive, saying I did as much as I possibly could. Mitch Evans, I was here when he got out of the car, sort of shaking his head there. In terms of getting more performance out of the car, are you going to do some setup changes before the quarters?
Well, I mean, really, is it tyres, is it set up? There's some small differences between the cars, obviously, to kind of try and get the car into the window for how the driver wants it. But, you know, possibly not the best tyre set for Mitch there, ultimately, and he just said a really, really difficult lap. But, you know, all the more kudos to him for getting through with a car which was definitely, as you saw from the onboard from Karun, not the easiest thing to drive over that lap. So, yeah, fantastic job, and let's get, hopefully, both cars through this quarter-final and see where we are.
Absolutely, James Barkley, good luck for this session. Intense one for the team. It's going to be a good one. Back to you, JJ.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Nikki. We've spoken about, you know, those that have done well. What about those that are going to be disappointed after that session, Karun?
I think Nick de Vries is going to be hugely disappointed, isn't he? You know, he ended up bottom of the times there in Group A. Two-time winner here, former champion. The return to Formula E is not quite gone to plan so far, so he's got a lot of work to do for the back row of the grid. I think Da Costa, you know, he's going to be 9th in that group, so at best he's going to start 17th. And we were saying before the session, he needs a big weekend to try and psychologically and even practically on the points get closer to Verline. So I think those two guys will be massively disappointed.
All right, thank you very much, Karun. He does need a big weekend indeed. So the duels are about to start. Let's rejoin the commentary team of Dario Franchetti and Tom Brooks.
Thank you very much indeed, Karun, and thanks, JJ.
You almost got it, JJ.
He's been practicing all weekend.
He has.
Yeah, I heard he was practicing in front of the mirror this morning. You know. Anyway, time for the duels then for round 2 of the Diriyah E-Prix here in Saudi Arabia. Now, instead of having a group session where we've got all the drivers out on track at once, what we have for the duels, if you're joining us for the first time in Formula E, first of all, welcome along. We increase the power from 300 to 350 kilowatts, and we have 2 drivers going head-to-head on the same track at exactly the same time, all fighting for a place in the semi-finals, first of all, and then, of course, hopefully to get into the finals in the fight for pole position. So this is Pascal Wehrlein on board in the group sessions that we saw just a few moments ago, getting balked on his flying lap to the disappointment. A few drivers also making mistakes as well. This was Jake Hughes in the neon McLaren. Just going a bit deep in turn 18 here, Dario.
Yeah, turn 18's the biggest braking zone off the lap, and he was trying to just gain a little bit of time. He's got a time on his dash. You can tell if he's up or down on his personal best. Just didn't, just overdid it ever so slightly. Totally understandable when you're trying to walk the tightrope.
Jake Dennis as well, making it through. It's going to be an interesting first duel, actually, because we've got Pascal Wehrlein and Jake Dennis, the two drivers that finished 1 and 2 in both of the Diriyah E-Prix this time here last year. It was fast and frenetic, especially at the end of the Group A qualifying session, as you can see earlier on here this afternoon. Some drivers were lucky, others a little bit less.
Sebastian Buemi talking with his hands.
Frustration there for Buemi. I mean, disappointment for him after his car conked out in FP1 yesterday. And then look at this, it was like the M25 at rush hour, all the drivers just trying to make it through to the checkered flag in time to start their final flying laps.
Yeah, and I wonder if Ejehand Rubla had a mistake on the lap, because he pulled into the pits at the end of the lap, didn't actually complete the lap, I don't think so. Yeah, maybe a mistake there as he was following Sebastian Buemi around.
Well, we've got the duels found out who's going out where. You can see them on your monitors now up in the commentary screen. So going out first of all in this session, it'll be Wehrlein and Dennis. Group duel B will be Evans and Cassidy, the two Jaguar teammates going out together. Then it's going to be Gunther and Sete Camera, Nato and Vern. Those are going to go off. The second duel will see the two Kiwis going head-to-head. Non-ideal situation for the Jaguar team. Team principal James Barkley still pleased. Both drivers to the duel and Gahati start in the top 8. That's what you can see on the monitor then in front of us here in the comms box. We're all set then. We have our dual screen available, which is our information up here in the box. That will be our sort of battle computer to give us all the information we need. So it will be the two monitors alongside as we see confirmation of the quarterfinals. Tom.
For the quarterfinals, first of all, we've got Pascal Wehrlein and Jake Dennis. Then second up, it is the two Jaguars going head-to-head with one another, Mitch Evans and Nick Cassidy, Max Gunther and Sergio Sete Camera, Norman Nato and Jean-Eric Verne. One driver from each of the quarterfinals goes through into the semis. Then you've got 4 drivers going head-to-head in 2 different groups, and then 1 driver each against one another into the finals. I think I explained it in the most convoluted and complicated way possible, but I think that kind of makes sense in my head.
So who have you got for pole position then? Talking about the predictor.
Well, it's
how about that?
You see,
Come on.
You've been practicing, mate. I've been here since London. Look
Better to be lucky than good.
Yeah, don't forget about the Formula E predictor. Scan the QR code in the top left-hand corner on your screen and see who you think is going to be involved in the fight for pole position. First up, it is, as I said earlier on, the top 2 from the Diriyah E-Prix last year. Pascal Wehrlein did the double. Jake Dennis was second best. These two going head-to-head with one another.
Jake Dennis, bit of a difference now. He's a Formula E World Champion. And, yeah, had a great start to the season last year. But things have changed a lot, and he will be looking to beat Pascal Wehrlein again, because he wants to start closing that 28-point gap that Wehrlein has to
Here we go.
sitting on top of the championship.
Sorry, the last time that these two were in the duels together was the only
Season
race
9.
of last season, believe it or not. On that occasion, it was Dennis who managed to beat Pascal Wehrlein. Preparation lap is going to be absolutely crucial in the duels. We've seen in the group stages, actually, that some of the drivers, Dario, have needed a couple of laps to get themselves ready for their flyer.
Here we go then. 2 head-to-heads they've had, and it's Dennis who has taken them both. What are we going to see in ABB FA Formula E as we go into the duels? Afternoon, Jess. Watching quali while eating my lunch. I've had 2 pancakes this morning with Nutella on. That's my dinner. That was my breakfast. Don't have anything for dinner just yet, but I will do later. Jess will be joining us in the box for the opening race later on. Can't wait to have her in the comms box. Also, I think in Berlin as well. You've definitely marked that one down on the monitor. The double in Berlin in early May, I believe, on the monitor. SHT says, I tell you, the first one is hard to predict. Both look really quick. Wow, Evans v Cassidy next after this one, the 2 Jaguars. Yeah, it's going to get insane out there. Wehrlein and Dennis first up, though. Last time they faced each other, as Tom said, and I said earlier on, was Mexico City, round 1, season 9, 12 months ago. Almost exactly 12 months ago, actually, as well. Coming up on it. What will they have right here, right now, on the face of it. Just looking down at Jake Dennis, the Season 9 world champion. Now remember, these two dominated the first half of the season last year. Porsche Powertrain was so superior compared to anything else. It was right on the money throughout the season. As we see the green lights on in the background as they come out, this is going to be Wehrlein and Dennis. They're both now activated the full attack. You can see them with their little light blues elevated on the driver track up. We're underway. Wehrlein starts his lap time then into turn 1. Hard on the brakes, turning. Oh, he locks the front right. Little bit of a lock up for Wehrlein on the turning. That's going to cost him a little bit of time. Oh, he touches the wall. Coming out of turn 2 as well, just bouncing across it. Really messy lap coming through at the moment. As they turn through once again, Dennis starts a lap time, gets it back, kicked out just a little bit as well. Flicks the car in. Down throughout the sand dune section now. This is the bobsleigh run from 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and then braking hard for 14. And Dennis is up by 84 thousandths of a second in the first sector, as you can see on your screen. Wehrlein at 23.206, Dennis at 23.064. Second sector for Wehrlein is a 19.945. Dennis is 2.5 tenths up. So Wehrlein's errors in that first part of the track has cost him deeply. The championship leader, the winner in Mexico, the pole sitter in Mexico. He had 28 points. He's going to have a lot on his hands, possibly starting 7th or 8th. It's a 1:12.610 for Wehrlein. Dennis is within 75 thousandths, but almost makes a mistake. Coming through 18 and 19, the rear of the car really stepping out. He's having to fight for control. The car's sliding everywhere as he comes into the last corner. 65 thousandths of a second, the gap between the two. It's Dennis on top with a 1:12.527. Wehrlein is a 1:12.610. The first duel goes to Dennis. And now it's the two Jaguars out together, Evans and Cassidy.
One winner, Pascal Wehrlein. Let's have a look here at some replays of Dennis. You can see here, Dario, just how hard he was having to push in that first sector.
And a couple of times he kind of overdid the first in a series of corners, but then was able to gather it up. Really good stuff from Jake Dennis in the Andretti car with the Porsche Powertrain. First class.
Brilliant stuff from Dennis saying on the team radio after that session. It wasn't easy at all, but he really managed to get the maximum out of that car when it counted.
Look at him fighting down the hill. Fantastic stuff.
So then, quarterfinal 2, thick and fast, they're going to be coming now. It is the two Jaguar TCS teammates, Mitch Evans versus Nick Cassidy.
Yep, and they're out now. Times together as well. We've opened them up on the battle computer. So this is Evans on his first sector run. Cassidy's already now taken it as well between them. So this is going to be not their run time, but their simulation as to how quick they are. First sector for Evans is a 22.927. Cassidy's down by over 0.266, 23.379. Cassidy's backed off massively here. Is this championship? Because Cassidy is third in the championship on 16 points. Evans is on 10 points. And it's Cassidy who's really having the problem. He's half a second off now. 19.765 for Evans in the second sector. Cassidy's at 20.153. It's almost embarrassing for Nick Cassidy. He has been not only eaten, he has been eaten, spit up, re-eaten, re-spit up, and then thrown into the gutter. Evans has completely washed him away. There must have been a major issue. Cassidy, 8 tenths off the pace now to 1:12.313. Fastest of the duel so far then for Evans. Cassidy, well off the pace. Jess says, had a feeling Jake Dennis was going to be in Pascal in the duels. You're right there. Pressure just got to Pascal, says SHT. That's by 0.083 seconds between Wehrlein and Dennis. Cassidy's time ends up as a 1:12.821. So it's Evans going through. James Barkley, round of applause, but I don't think anybody's applauding that one.
Cassidy, unfortunately, will go no further than the quarterfinals for round 2 here this afternoon.
Mitch Evans struggled in the last sector, so that's something he can look at for his next his semi-final run, because he lost, I think, 3 or 4 tenths through the last sector. And you're going to see the car sliding around, but the lack of grip that the guys have got on this surface, you're going to see a bit of oversteer. But there's a very fine line between a bit of oversteer and actually losing time due to catching loads of opposite lock and wheel spin.
So then we go over to quarter-final 3. Maximilian Günther in the Maserati, Sergio Sette Camera with ERT. If you had a fiver on that going into this weekend, I dare say you'd be quids in right about now. Let's see how this one is going to work out. Max Günther, 4th, of course, in Mexico City a couple of weeks ago. Sette Camera, a DNS. Car stopped on the sighting lap. But Sette Camera has looked in really good form, hence, of course, making it into the duels. This will be his career best qualifying since Diriyah 2021, regardless of what happened, where he was second on the grid for the Dragon Penske team.
Yep, and he's out there on the lap time. So we'll see it. First sector for Günther versus Sette Camara. Maserati versus ERT. Günther's a 23.285. Sette Camara, 23.1892. Now, Günther was looking good, Maximilian Günther. He was fastest in the practice 1 yesterday, second fastest in practice 2 this morning, and then was third fastest in Group B. So this is a good time here. But Sette Camara is 2 tenths up. Where has the ERT come from? Günther sliding around all over the place. This ERT with Sergio Sette Camara, this is the best we've seen him, and he's catching. Günther is catching Sette Camara. Gunther's across the line now. This is going to be very tense between the two of them. You can barely call it. Here it across the line. Now, it's a 1:12.892 for Günther. What's the time for Sergio Sette Camara as he comes through? 18:19, then into the kink of 20. Last corner at 21. Can the ERT beat someone in the duels, or does the fairy tale end here? He's done it! He's only gone and done it! Sergio Sette Camara's 4 tenths up. It's a 1:12.495. Wow! I do not believe it. ERT, who had so many problems in the pre-season test, he's gone fastest.
And he gets
Here
through.
he is.
Nicely done, Sergio. Faster by 4 tenths. Yep, just make sure you're fast enough on the way in. Delta 14 seconds.
Delta push, boys. Delta.
Absolutely delighted with that result, and I'm not surprised at all, especially given their performances so far. Over to quarter-final 4 then. And this is Norman Nato in the Andretti versus Jean-Eric Vergne. 62% of you reckon the DS Penske driver is going to be the one who goes through into the semis. So now then, building up on their laps to get heat into the tyres. Will we see both Andrettis progressing forwards into the semis? That'll be an interesting one. Nato's been in good form so far here this weekend. Fastest in free practice 2 earlier on here today. Jean-Eric Vergne, though, with that absolute belter of a lap as we saw in group qualifying a handful of minutes ago.
Yeah, and it's getting good now as we see NATO's first sector is a 23.169. Vergne is coming already. Now this is Andretti versus DS Penske. Last year in the later half of the season we saw these two knocking 10 bells out of each other. Hello to Quiet Baptison, says, this is my new way to watch Formula E. Pleasure to have you along in the watch along. Great job for Sergio and ERT, says Jess. Jess will be with us in the box later on. I agree. First sector then for Jev. Oh, he's up, but it's very close. It's 23.169 for NATO. Vergne is at 23.104. So, and the current predictors putting them as a 10th between them. Second sector for NATO is a 19.932. Vergne does a 19.819. He's up by 0.178 of a second. So, over a 10th and a half. NATO's giving it his all here, but who's going to go through to face Sergio Sette Camara in the second semi-final? Out of the last corner, NATO does a 1:12.475. Jev is up by 0.260, so 2.5 tenths of a second and a bit as he comes up towards the line. Is he going to be any faster? Will he be any faster? The answer come there, yes. It's a 1:12.164 for Jean-Eric Vergne, and that is the fastest time on not only of the duels, but of the entire weekend. Jean-Eric Vergne, fastest overall. So it's Dennis versus Evans in semi-final 1, and in semi-final 2, it's Sergio Sette Camara versus Jean-Eric Vergne.
Jean-Eric Vergne to progress forwards. Disappointment on the other side of the Andretti garage, though, for Nato to not make it through.
See the understeer, then a snap to oversteer, the front of the car sliding, and then the back coming round into play as Jean-Eric Vergne starts to try and get to the throttle.
Yes, come on. Let's keep going.
Nice and calm from Jean-Eric.
Nicely done.
He can be a bit mercurial, Jeb, but he certainly found a lot of consistency in that midpoint when he won those 2 championships in a row. So he definitely, from the guy who showed up and qualified on pole in his first ever Formula E race, he's really strengthened his knowledge and his skill. He's going to be, he's got a sniff of a win. He's going to be hard to beat.
Yeah, it's good for the DS Penske team as well, because they were all at sea this time last year, if you remember. It never really got going in Season 9. Confirmation of the quarter-final results then. It is going to be Dennis versus Evans in the first of the semi-finals, and then Sette Camera versus Jean-Eric Vergne in the second of those. We say goodbye to Verline, Cassidy, Gunter and Norman Nato. They will go no further, but it's setting us up an absolute treat. And well, let's have a look. You've got Porsche, Jaguar, ERT and DS Penske, 4 different powertrains with 4 different drivers going head-to-head in the second of the semi-final duels.
So that's the end of that part of it as well. Just been told on the family group chat, Megan has got her assessment in from her university, her second grade. She's got another first. Family genius, isn't she? You'll be hearing Megan in the Rolex 24 coverage coming up later on in the weekend across the 24 hours. So, all set to go then for the next part of the duels, and we'll get everything set up ready. It will be the following sessions, as we've lost our driver truck. Anyone else notice that? It's back now, coming through as well. Still 35% chance of rain flicking through on the monitors here. So, in that session, just to bring it back up to the comms box, I know the session has concluded for a second, we'll get back to that shortly, but in the quarterfinals, Verline's time was a 1:12.610, Dennis a 1:12.527 as well, but it got quicker, and then it was Evans a 1:12.313, Cassie was a 1:12.821, Gunther 1:12.892, and then Kamara was fast at 1:12.495, but it was the final one that was the fastest. We had NATO 1:12.475, back up to quicker than Dennis's time, and then Vergne was a 1:12.164. So NATO's going to start ahead of Jake Dennis on the grid, if that is, well, actually no. NATO's going to start ahead of Verline and everybody else, so he'll start, I think, 5th on the grid with that time on the board. So it gets very confusing as to what happens. You've got to time it right to see who's at the fastest times across the sessions, because after that, in the first session, the top 4 go through, so you sort of have to cancel that out. So then you work out the grid here. So starting, I believe, 9th on the grid, that'll be Bird. And then at 10th, I think it's Van Dorn. Then it's Boemi. Then it's Hughes, Frines further down as well. So the top 8 go through. And they've all managed to be the top 8 times as well. So it's going to be 9th on the grid onwards. It's going to be Bird, Van Dorn, Boemi, Hughes, Frines, Fenestras, Roland. And then it's going to go to Costa, Tictum. Then it's going to be Muller, Degrassi, Mortara, Jeruvela and De Vries once again starting at the back. That's just off quick mental math calculations of what the times were up here in the commentary box, if we can work them out as they should be. So we're getting ready for the semi-finals, and this will kick off at 16:24 local time, so in about 4.5 minutes we'll be underway for this session, and that means we've got time for some more analysis from Corinne Chanhok and hopefully more presentation learning from JJ, who's down there as well, Jermaine Jamas, who I don't know if it's done better. Oh, they've just put him with Corinne. Tom Brooks, maybe? Who's going to take over?
Yeah, thank you very much indeed, Karun. Looking forward to seeing exactly what is going to happen here in the semi-final duels. You were just noting some of the compressions and the bumps of the exterior circuit during that piece there, Dario.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like that snap of oversteer that Karun and I were both talking about in turn 13 was set off by a bump, by a compression, and then it almost looks like the car bottomed out, the wheels came off the ground, the rear wheels, and that caused that snap of oversteer. And Andre Lotter sitting next to me went, yeah, it's bumpy there. Master of understatement.
Don't forget about the Formula E predictor as well. Scan that QR code and tell us who you think is going to be progressing forward. Team radio for Vern.
Heads up, Jeff. Obviously, I was still busy with the mechanics. So basically, semi-final is in about 5 minutes. Lap time wise, as I said, basically you set the fastest lap, 12.16. Second one was Evans in 12.3. So good lap time. I think you know what you did well. So we keep doing the same, basically.
Talk to me about what it's going like from a driver's perspective. You're sat there now waiting 3 minutes to go into the semi-finals. How do you get your head in the game?
You're focusing. I would at that point play the lap in my head, but good words from the engineer. What he's saying is, just if you do what you did again, you know you were a little slow, but you need just have the confidence to know what you did was right. It was quicker than everybody else. You don't need to go above and beyond. You don't need to go into the unknown. You don't need to break another 3 car lengths later into turn 18 or try and carry 5 miles an hour more into X corner. Just do what you were doing, and that should be good enough. Try and do a proper whole lap, no mistakes, and that should be good enough. Whether SETI Camera then from the other side thinks I've got nothing to lose, I'm going to risk that bit more and beats you, that's a different story.
Well, drivers have been saying just how crucial qualifying is going into the race here tonight, Dario, and this is going to be all or nothing, isn't it, here with Dennis versus Evans, first of all?
It's massively crucial because the cars are all so closely matched in race trim that to make the advantage up, if you start back where Antonio Felix da Costa is starting, to try and get up onto the podium is very, very difficult. To make the track position up as far as distance, but also go past people, is fair. That's where the difference is right now, because every time you, in a race situation, you maybe use extra energy to pass someone, it's probably 10% of the energy of that lap. Very difficult to recoup that and get yourself back onto your energy targets for the race so you don't run out of energy towards the end.
Well, drivers then getting themselves ready to go out on track. Jake Dennis versus Mitch Evans. Of course, the drivers who finished first and third in the Drivers' Championship last year. Evans seeking a front row start for the second year running in Diriyah. Dennis would love to get himself on the front row for the first time here since 2022. Try to match that feat as the Kiwi exits the garage. Of course, Jaguar second in line in terms of the distance to the pit exit because they were second in the championship. But it'll be Dennis who'll be first out on track. So then, confirmation of how we got here from the quarterfinals and how the lineup looks for the semis. Dennis versus Evans, first of all. One of those drivers will go through into the final. And then Sergio SETI Camera versus Jean-Eric Verne, ERT and DS Penske, going head-to-head with one another. Only 2 drivers, of course, can join in for the fight for pole position here this afternoon, ahead of a 37-lap race here tonight. Which of the 4 are going to make it through? Which 2 will be lining up crucially on the front row? So there you can see in the head-to-head battle, 2-1 in the favour of Jake Dennis. 52% of you reckon it's going to be Dennis who goes through, 48% for Mitch Evans. And this is going to be a mighty part of this session.
Okay, Jack, we can head down. Let's go. Track temp very stable, okay. Track temp is about the same as what we had in the beginning of the session, so track temp not a factor. You know what we've got, let's finish the job.
Here we go. Green lights on.
Just the race engineer there for Jake Dennis, who is just giving him a bit of advice, getting himself ready to head out onto the track. Sean McGill.
I like that. Nice, simple instruction. They've done all their work. Just get on with it now. There's, not too complicated. And some drivers like that. Some drivers like detail.
Yeah.
But some
they want to know everything.
Done the work. You know what to do. Go.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Mitch Evans.
some want to know everything, some don't. But here we go, Group B.
And getting ready to go. We saw drivers actually being quite conservative in the quarterfinals in terms of getting heat into the temperature. I thought we were going to see them sliding and pushing the front a little bit more to try and get those tyres into the operating window, but actually being a bit more conservative than I was expecting.
Yeah, again, we don't know if they've changed tyres between the quarter and the semi-finals, so that can make a difference in how they prepare as well.
Yeah.
As we see Jake Dennis further around the lap as he's coming up the hill now.
Yeah, just going on.
What's that coming over the hill? Jake Dennis, the season 9 champion, coming in. And so fire through. Keeps it on the attack. Dennis Evans, 1-2 as things stand. Brakes hard. Flicks the car in. to the last corner. Begin. The semi-final duels are underway here in Saudi Arabia. Jay Dennis in the first sector. Evans is just about to come across the line to start counting down the times. And across it now. So, Andretti versus Jaguar. We've lined them up together for the first time this season. Dennis much faster in turns 1 and 2 already. Evans, the computer saying, is 12 thousandths ahead between the two. But it's Dennis who's hitting it more. Dennis is a lot more harder on the curve down through the sand dune section. What's the sector time showing? Yeah. Sector Evans. Oh, Evans is now ahead. Dennis made a small mistake in the braking zone. It's very close between the two. First sector for Dennis is a 22.909. Evans is a 22.867. Second sector for Dennis was a 19.825. 19.666 for Evans. So Dennis all over the place in the second sector. It's lost in time. Evans is a lot more back on power. He's the first to hit the curb coming out of turn 19. Dennis will be the first to cross the line. His time is a 1:12.079. We watch Mitch Evans as he fights for control, coming in now to the last 2 parts of the track. Evans' time is frozen. Isn't that just the way he needed it to be? There was Dennis's time. Here's Evans across it. Is he faster or not? What's the gap between the two? The graphics have lost. We don't know. The timings have gone. We don't know. I believe, is it Evans? Yes, it is. Evans is fastest. Evans is the fastest. He goes through to the final. It looked like Formula E had tried to do the system where they lined them up and it just all went wrong. We couldn't see the last sector. But it is going to be Mitch Evans in the final. Dennis will start 3rd or 4th on the grid. Now, it's Sergio Setakamara versus Jean-Eric Verne. They've never faced each other in a duel before. The predictor vote says 79% to Verne, 21% to Setakamara. I'm going for Sergio Setakamara. I want him in the final. I think ERT have done an amazing job here after such a bad pre-season. They could stand to make a bit of history here. Setakamara is the first on the lap time and he attacks turn 1 and 2 massively. He has absolutely nothing to lose here compared to Jean-Eric Verne. First sector time for Setakamara is a 23.106. That's the gap between them at the moment. Now, Jean-Eric Verne is going to start a lap time as well. First sector looks to be a little bit quick between the two. We've lost our driver tracker, so it's all swings and roundabouts. Here we go. Verne's coming through turn 11 and 12 right now. First sector, Verne's up 22.942. Setakamara in that first sector time is looking strong as well. What was it? It's a 19.830 in the second sector. Verne fighting hard, bouncing across the curves of the car. This is how you do picture-in-picture Formula E. You do it live. You let everybody see the mistakes. Verne's down. Verne's down in that middle sector. Verne is losing time. 19.9. There's a 10th down. Setakamara takes the checkered flag. It's a 1:12.611. Verne, is he up? It now says by 2/10. The middle sector belongs to Setakamara. Will the third? Verne's on the money. Yeah, I think Verne's got him. The computer's saying over 2.5 tenths off. Jean-Eric Verne will face Mitch Evans in the final. It's a 1:12.611. Again, faster out there on the board. It's going to be Evans versus Verne in the final, and you didn't see that one coming a mile away.
For the front row positions, Jean-Eric Verne in the DS Penske, Mitch Evans in the Jaguar. Jean-Eric Verne then, great lap time for him. That final sector was really impressive from the double champion.
Still a couple of tenths shy of Mitch Evans in the Jaguar, though. That's going to be hard to make up that difference. Look at the car squatting over on the outside rear
It was a
tyre.
1:11 from Evans, fastest of the
Really
weekend.
impressive stuff from Jev then. First time we've seen him in the duels in a long time.
So in mode, Jeff, in mode. So you just got your ticket for the final, mate.
And just to clarify that thought, I meant, of course, in the battle for pole position. But great lap time there for him. And great for DS Penske as well to be up the sharper end of the order, where they used to being. So Jeb now on his cool-down lap, getting ready to go again in the final duels coming up in just a couple of moments' time. So then, confirmation of the results from the semi-finals. It is going to be Mitch Evans versus Jean-Eric Vergne. We say goodbye to Jake Dennis, knocked out in the semis. Likewise, Sergio Sette Camara in the ERT as well. But a hugely important and impressive lap time there for both Evans and Vergne, making it through into the finals. Which of those two drivers will emerge on top in the fight for pole position?
Yeah, well, we knew that was coming, so I've switched over, and now we're going to take a little bit look at social media and everything as well. Nick Golding, who's over there, the Formula E journalist as well, who's been on the Formula E Zone podcast, has said, "Where was this, Sergio, last season?" Absolutely. Nick Golding's actually had a lap in the Porsche safety car as well, out there in Saudi, as is his first race trackside this season as well. So nice to see from Nick that. It's just absolutely fantastic. Chris Stevens, who says, Casti might have had first blood in the Jaguar battle in Mexico City, but Evans strikes back with a hammering in the duels. Two supremely talented drivers. This is going to be a title for Tat fight all season long. Looks to be going on there as well. Bro, what did Sergio eat for breakfast from the Formula E source? Alex Stranger as well says, could someone please send the Formula E dual winner portrait photos to me in high resolution via DM or email? I like to update some of my content ASAP, ideally before Sao Paulo. You've got a month, so if anybody can help him out, please do so. What a fantastic run out there as well. It was absolutely brilliant. I'm just seeing all the hashtag on the DWE pre-chat. It's getting absolutely insane. We've got Vergne and Evans in the final together, as you can see on your screen now, as it constantly tries to, jingle between it because it doesn't know whether to put everything on. But it does look good, doesn't it, as well? Now, let's have a look. I've got the times finally from Evans and Dennis. Evans was a 1:11.992. Dennis was a 1:12.079. So, again, both Dennis and Evans were faster than Vergne and Sette Camara in that final session. So, my money, the smart money, would be to go for Mitch Evans to do a 1:11.9 again. But Vergne is always finding something. He's always a bit of a masterclass when he's going for pole position in a final. And there are 3 points on offer, remember, here. So this is going to change things quite dramatically, because Evans, at the moment, I believe, is only on 10 World Championship points. If I just stand up and take a look at it. Yeah, Evans is on 10. And Jean-Eric Vergne is directly behind him in the championship on 8. So whoever takes pole position here is going to increase the lead over the other in the championship fight. So there's a lot to look forward to here in Saudi Arabia. The first of the Diriyah E-Prix, as my glasses just fell on the concrete floor. That's not the best way to do, but they're okay, thankfully. This is going to be a fantastic final, which is due to get underway in around about 4 minutes time. So with that being said, we're going to hand back over to TNT Sports and rejoin JJ Karoun, Tom and Dario, Nikki and Andre Lotterer down there in the pits area. And we'll join back over again with the World Feed.
So, 2 drivers out of the 22 that took to the track for qualifying earlier on here this afternoon, now in the final fight for pole position. Jean-Eric Vergne for DS Penske and Mitch Evans for Jaguar TCS Racing. This is going to be hugely exciting to see which of these 2 drivers emerges on top. And to be honest, there's not really anything I can pick out in particular where one driver's looked stronger than the other.
No, absolutely not. And you might think, well, you start in the front row anyway, you've got a guaranteed front row start. 3 points. 3 points towards the championship if you get on pole position. And that extra half a car length you start ahead on the start tonight, that could make all the difference between winning and losing the E-Prix tonight.
Well, whatever happens here, we're going to have a new driver starting on pole position in Diriyah. Neither Jean-Eric Vergne nor Mitch Evans have started on pole here in Saudi before. If Vergne does get pole, though, that will tie his record of pole positions with Sebastian Buemi, who has 16. So there'll be some bragging rights. I was going to say down the pub later, but that's not really a thing here. So over a 0%.
On a double-header weekend, especially. There'll be none of that.
Nice glass of rose water or something. Don't forget about the Formula E predictor as well. Scan the QR code in the top left-hand corner of your screen. Get yourself involved in the action. Tell us who you think is going to join the fight for pole position. It won't be this man here, Jake Dennis. He'll be disappointed with being knocked out of the semi-finals, courtesy of Mitch Evans, but still a nice smile on the reigning champ's face. Let's see whether he can build on that for the race here this afternoon. Qualifying is absolutely critical, according to the drivers. That has been the word up and down pit lane all afternoon here. The sun is now beginning to set. Track conditions looking relatively similar to how they have been all session, so not really too much in terms of things getting colder in terms of the climate to worry about.
No, but just the track gripping up a bit, you know, just really getting cleaned off a bit, and some of that Hankook rubber getting put down onto the surface as well. So that, again, that might change the mechanical balance of the car. It might allow you to be more aggressive on the braking, on the powertrain. So yeah, there's a few decisions to be made, both in terms of how the driver's going to drive the lap, but how they're going to change the settings on the car too.
And don't forget, of course, that 3 points are awarded in the fight for pole position. If Verne does take pole and get those 3 points, he'll actually leapfrog him ahead of Evans in the driver's standings, believe it or not. So I'm sure that will just be another motivating factor.
That's a great shot. Obviously, the focus on the eyes. The eyes are not, you know, up until Mitch Evans saw the camera there, he was a million miles away. He was halfway through his qualifying lap. Thinking about all kinds of things. Great camera work.
Steely eyes of determination there for Mitch Evans. As he just wipes his brow, heads out on to the track. And this is going to be a very interesting duel between the two drivers. Jean-Eric Verne versus Mitch Evans then. Here's how we got here. We had the quarterfinals. Dennis, Evans, set a camera and Verne progressed forwards. Then in the semis, it was Evans and Verne who made the cut. And of course, brings us to our final lineup. We will have a new pole sitter here in Diriyah ahead of round 2 for season 10 of the ABB FIA Formula E World Championship. And let's see which way it is going to go. A cloud actually now emerging overhead.
I've just looked at my weather app. It says it's not going to rain.
Just checking on that one. 73% of you think that Mitch Evans is going to be the driver that takes pole position here this afternoon. Just 27% have gone the way of Jev.
Yeah, well, there's a couple of tenths difference. Mitch Evans in the Jaguar, a couple of tenths quicker than Jean-Eric Verne in that lovely black and gold DS Penske car.
Yeah, lost pole position that Evans took actually was in London, but he actually had a 5-place grid penalty, but he still managed to win the race. No such penalties at the moment, at least, to be worrying about, and no such indications of anything along the lines of that either. Anyway, the green flag is waved, and it is time for the finals to get underway as Jean-Eric Verne exits on to
Green light, and we are underway then for the final here in Saudi Arabia, the Diriyah Prix, the race 1 qualifying for the double header. It's going to be between Jean-Eric Verne and Mitch Evans. Now, Evans in the last session did a 1:11.992. He was the fastest driver in the semi-finals and across the entire of qualifying. Interesting to note that Jean-Eric Verne's time was a 1:12.125, which was the 3rd fastest time in the semi-finals. And it was faster than his time in the quarterfinals of a 1:12.164, and even faster than his Group B, obviously, because that was at 300 kilowatts an hour, which is 1:12.856. In terms of Evans, his time in the first group stage, that was, of course, at 300 kilowatts per hour, was a 1:13.006. In the quarterfinal, Evans was a 1:12.313. He was 2nd fastest in the quarterfinals. Verne was the fastest. The semi-finals reversed it, with Evans being the fastest and Verne being the 3rd fastest. It was actually Dennis who took 2nd fastest with a 1:12.079, which was 0.087 off the pace of Evans. So really, it's all to play for. They both have the time, they both have it. Jean-Eric Verne starts his final lap here in the final part of qualifying for the Dewey Reprix. He's first out. Mitch Evans is directly behind him, already started the lap time, and already Evans is behind by 0.08 of a second. Now improves it with a better first sector. Verne's first sector time is coming across the board now, and it's a 23.060. Oh, look at Evans! Evans' first time is a 23.072. There is 12 thousandths of a second between the two at the moment, and they are hammering it down. Second sector for Jean-Eric Verne. It's a 19.820. What's Evans' time as he's fighting for control? They're both harding it into turn 14. Verne's now across the start line. Evans is directly behind him. And it's Evans ahead by 40 thousandths. It's a 119.768. It's going to be a nail biter between these two for pole position. Into the last few corners we come. Jean-Eric Verne, he's fastest in sector 1, but it's Evans who has sector 2. Jean-Eric Verne's time is a 112.062. Mitch Evans is directly behind him. The checker flag falls. Who starts on pole position? Interior across the line. Evans, it's a 112.134. Jean-Eric Verne has back to pole position here in Formula E with a 112.062. It's Verne and DS Penske who have pole interior by 72 thousandths of a second. What a time! Fantastic! That's what you need. And it was a close run between them because Verne had sector 1 with a 23.060. Evans had sector 2, 19.768. And it was Verne in sector 3 with a 129.182. The fast lap should have been a 112.010. James Barclay can't believe it. 72 thousandths. Fantastic session. Brilliant from Jean-Eric Verne. He has pole position, boys.
Start nonetheless for Mitch Evans and for Jaguar TCS Racing. This was Jean-Eric Verne. You saw him pushing the front end of the car on that warm-up lap, trying to get heat into the tyres.
Here's Verne.
So you are the king of Saudi, mate.
Verne can't believe it. We can't believe it. Fantastic, fantastic. What a run, what a run.
Well done. What a good feeling, mate. Back on pole.
Fantastic run, fantastic. Truly brilliant.
Pole position for Jean-Eric Verne and for DS Penske there.
Yeah, what a run.
What a run. What a fantastic.
What a run, what a fantastic ability and a fantastic run between them as well to keep up the run in total. We're just having a bit of a problem with our microphone up here in the comms box while we try and fix that. But what a run, what a fantastic achievement as well on the board. Really needed to be that chaotic and that dramatic as well in many parts, but another great one. Back to the boys.
Don't drive it off the end. Maybe that's just because I'm bad at parking. But it's a tough thing to do, but yeah, wonderful lap from both drivers.
Yeah, just looking at that stat, actually, the last time that DS Penske were on pole position was Van Dorn in Sao Paulo in 2023. So a fair while ago for that outfit.
You saw the FIA official come in and measure the driver's height. So if basically if it rolls over, his head is not doesn't come into contact with the ground. That's it's a regulation.
Yeah, great session. Great,
tall like Jean-Eric Verne.
Great session between them all.
It's pretty difficult. And Jake Dennis probably the tallest driver in the field.
Well, that's a record-tying 16th pole position then.
16 poles, ties with Boemi.
This afternoon, and also his first pole since Jakarta back in 2022. Nice to get that duck off your back.
Wow.
Back in the Gen 2 days. First Gen 3 pole then for Jev.
And that shows progress for the team too. I think they've made a lot of big hires, DS Penske, so that is, yeah, that shows intent.
Penny for the thoughts here of Mitch Evans as well. Do you think he'll be disappointed or happy?
He's a racing driver. Of course he's going to be. He's sitting there just now thinking, I could have done that different, I could have done that different. Now he's thinking about the race and where, okay, I need to do this different. The track surface is doing this. If we do that, you know, there's all, the driver's mind does not stop working from the time they wake up, race morning, to the time they go to bed tonight, because obviously we're doing it all again tomorrow.
I think that's one of the most impressive things with professional athletes, just in general, not only racing drivers, is just how they're able to put disappointments to the back of their mind and just move on from them so quickly.
This is the qualifying lap from Jean-Eric Verne.
Yeah, down in towards that first corner, looked nice and neat and tidy through there. Bit of a snap of oversteer through the middle of turn 1, but all okay, and likewise through turn 2. And this is where we've seen drivers fighting the car over these bumps. You just never stopping, turning the steering wheel through this part of the lap.
No, you're just feeling the grip the whole time. The car is just sliding ever so slightly. You're trying to keep your momentum up that whole way down that hill because, yeah, as I said before, every little bit you can gain down this section, whether it's qualifying or the race, is certainly going to help you. The right-hander at 14, nice and neat on the power. The car, not big oversteer there. But this turn 16, 17. This used to be a really quick entry, and everybody's sort of hugging the inside, waiting until they can get close to the exit, and then full throttle, trying to keep the car in line, not snap or oversteer, not get. Because as soon as you get enough wheel spin, you lose miles an hour up that very steep hill. Neat and tidy through 18. Again, not using all the road out of 19 because it's dirty, it's dusty off line, trying to keep the car as straight as possible, braking for the last corner. Back to throttle, and that rush for the line.
Beautiful, absolute textbook stuff there. Cream and almonds for Jean-Eric Vergne. That was so smooth over the course of that lap. And that was a delight for DS Penske as well.
It's Nigel Beresford in the white shirt, and then worked with Roger Penske in the early 90s. Really smart guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's head down then to the pit lane and catch up with Jean-Eric Vergne, our pole sitter for round 2.
Jean-Eric Vergne, huge congratulations on your pole here in Saudi Arabia. You kept us guessing, though, between you and Mitch Evans. It was a brilliant duel to watch.
I don't know how it was to watch, but I mean, definitely from the inside, I had to give it everything. It was a tough one. I think Mitch was very fast, so yeah, there was nothing I could leave on the table, during that lap. So I'm glad that we came back in the duels. It's been quite a lot of races that I haven't been in there. So yeah, it feels good for the team, also for all the hard work that all the guys put on, to improve and to get to where we are now today. It's great. So now we have to do it all in the race.
Perfect race to be on pole position. Is Mitch Evans going to be your biggest challenger for the win?
I don't know, but I remember how much of a hard time he gave me in Mexico when I was behind him the whole race, so I won't let him pass this time.
Brilliant. Well, let's now introduce Regis Berger to pronounce you and present you with the Julius Baer Pole Position Trophy. Regis is the sub-regional head of Middle East and Africa Bank, Julius Baer. So there we are, 3 points for Jean-Eric Vergne, adding to his tally of 1,002. Only one of 2 drivers to score over 1,000 points.
Well, apologies if you weren't able to hear that Jean-Eric Vergne interview there, but as you can see from his body language, absolutely delighted to be awarded the Julius Baer pole position. And that's what it means to the Frenchman, as I said earlier on. His first pole since Jakarta in 2022. Incidentally, he's not won on pole since August 2020, back in Berlin, believe it or not. So will he be able to get that duck off his back here this afternoon? And what about the man who starts second on the grid as well? Mitch Evans, that's actually his second consecutive start from the front row when he started here in second place also, of course, in race 2 of the weekend in Diriyah last year.
That did look like a bit of rain in the distance.
Just a few clouds coming through, weren't there?
There was stuff below the clouds.
Well, let's wait and see what happens. Nothing on the forecast, exactly as you said there, Dario, but I'm not so sure,
And when it rains here.
Yeah, exactly. You need a boat and 2 oars, less the motor car with 4 wheels. Anyway, let's head down to the man who starts alongside Jev on the front row, Mitch Evans.
Mitch Evans starting from the front row of the grid here. Just talk us through that quali lap there. Are you happy? Are you celebrating? Are you disappointed? Smiling?
I don't know, to be honest. Look, I'm actually quite happy to be at the front. I didn't feel so good in the group stages, so to progress through, I was happy, and then was kind of expected to get knocked out straight away. But to get to the finals, great. Jev did the lap when it counted. I think obviously P2 around here is always good. The race is going to be quite quick, so track position is quite key. I struggled a bit in the race in Mexico, so we just obviously want to try and make sure that doesn't happen again, and we've got good pace.
Jev's up for a bit of a fight with you to the finish line. Are you?
always. He was stuck behind me the whole race in the last one, so hopefully it's not the same or the other way around this time that I'm stuck behind him. But like, it's obviously all going to be played out around the attacks. The race is going to be a little bit quicker than what we've seen in the past, just the amount of energy that we have. So passing is going to be a little bit more difficult than usual, but hopefully we can pull off a good strategy. I mean, first of all, we're going to be quick as well. I'm up for the challenge, and obviously hopefully we can pull off a good result.
Great, excellent, huge congratulations. Great to hear you sounding so positive. Mitch Evans.
Yeah, good to hear there from Mitch Evans. Ready to set the fight to Verne at the front here for the Diriyah E-Prix. Good lap time from the Kiwi. He'll be happy with that result, and you can see that the Jaguar team were pretty delighted as well. I say pretty delighted, pretty disappointed actually with that front row start, and also for James Barkley as well. Their disappointment, but magnanimous in defeat, at least.
It's funny how what you think you're capable of changes. As Mitch said, oh yeah, I thought I was going to get knocked out in the group stages, and all of a sudden you're going for the pole, and there's a bit of disappointment that you didn't quite make it.
No, absolutely not. But there we go for Jaguar TCS Racing. The hustle and bustle of the capital of Saudi in Riyadh here continues on with this race.
Yep, and we're going to read out the grid to you now from back to front. This is how they line up then. It's Nick de Vries in 22nd with Jan Rivela in 21st. Da Costa is 20th with Mortara 19th. 18th is Dan Tincton. De Grassi is in 17th. 16th for Nico Muller. Sasha Fenestraz is 15th. 14th for Oliver Rowland, and Sebastian Moemi starts in 13th. And then 12th is Robin Freins with Stoffel van Dorn in 11th. And then going into 10th, Jake Hughes alongside Sam Bird takes it into 9th position. Max Gunther is in 8th with Nick Cassidy in 7th. And then 6th on the grid, Pascal Verline alongside Norman Nato, P5. 4th for Sergio Sete Camara, alongside then P3 with Jake Dennis. 2nd for Mitch Evans, and then pole to Jean-Eric Verne. Let's go down to the boys.
So it's Jean-Eric Verne who sits on pole for race 2 of a Formula E race here in Diriyah. I've got myself with Andre Lotterer. We're in the paddock. It's an exciting race. The final, sorry, Andre, was really exciting.
Super exciting. It's amazing to see two top drivers, two top teams pushing the limits like that and squeezing everything out. It's real art at this moment, and yeah, they did a perfect job, both of them. And if you see the gap, it's like nothing. It's just blink of an eye. So yeah, really
I mean,
cool.
they really pushed it. I mean, just how impressed was you with Jean-Eric Verne kind of coming through, showing his experience and getting pole?
Yeah, you could see he was really building himself up to that and doing everything right. So going through the group, so he was happy. You could hear his reaction on the radio and building his own confidence, and he really mastered it himself. And yeah, he was very focused, and he could feel he had the momentum, and that's one thing. But then to do the job as well is another. So yeah, hats off.
No, he definitely delivered on that. So I think Karun is just by the pit actually with some analysis on the E-pad.
Yes, JJ, I managed to drag the pole sitter, Jean-Eric Verne here. Well done, fantastic pole position. Let's get into it. So talk to me about the lap, because everyone's been complaining about the grip level being a bit low. How did it feel for you as you get the lap going here?
Yeah, it's felt, lap after lap, just felt better and better, which is a nice feeling to have in qualifying, because you know that every time you get out, you're going to improve a little bit, and that's what you want to see. Always improvements.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was not massively better, but just helps to get in the rhythm, in the flow.
Yeah.
Especially in all those corners, you need to be in the flow. You need to hit the apex on the right place, because otherwise you can screw this corner, screw the other one. So everything starts really from turn 5 onward to try and have a good flow. Downhill is always a bit tricky because...
I just want to ask you here, because you, just watching as the session unfolded, obviously you're getting more comfortable, more confident, the grip's coming, but you definitely seem to run more speed and just a slightly wider line through there. Was that something you felt as well as the session went on? You were just getting a bit braver with it?
Yeah, maybe a little bit, but sometimes it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to go faster, because then you have poorer exit, and with those cars you cannot really do a lot of combine because of the tires, so
right.
Yeah.
What about the run here? Because you look like 12, 13 here. A lot of people were struggling just with a snap at 13. It looks like a bump there before you bring it back.
That was actually my best. The best I've done out of the whole qualifying, I think.
Yeah.
I was able to keep the car, straight and brake straight for that corner.
Yeah.
And I think it helped me quite a lot for the exit.
How tricky is braking for this next one?
Horrible.
Is it?
I don't like that corner. I don't feel very good.
Why is that? Just no grip underneath?
Yeah, no grip, and you need to really stay on the inside, because then you have no grip.
Yeah.
but it doesn't feel like a natural line to have. It's a very, very long corner, and you feel like you want to, V it a little bit and straighten up the exit, but you can't really do it.
What about the chicane? Because you've done most of the hard work now, just the last couple of corners. How did it feel here?
Well, it feels that it's the place where you can fuck it out, I mean, screw it all, sorry. So, yeah, it's... but you also need to push also on the other hand, because you know that the other guy, Mitch, is pushing also very hard, and you have to squeeze in every, hundreds that you can have.
How brave were you there at the end?
I don't know. There's not much to gain. I think it's more for the show.
Okay, listen, the last 5 pole winners have gone on to win the race. Are you going to win it today?
I hope so, then. I hope so.
All right, listen, thank you very much, and
Thank you.
apologies for the language.
Yeah, sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think Carew said it, but yeah, apologies for language if you offended. Obviously, slightly over-excited about taking pole. Quickly, if you can, Andre, temperature's going down, track's getting quicker. That's going to be exciting for the race later.
Yeah, definitely. But of course, the race is a completely different dynamic. Energy management comes into play. And overtaking is a good spot here at turn 18. But as you know, offline is quite dusty, as you saw. The lap time improvements were quite big. So you will see drivers try to make some moves there, but not sure they're going to work out. So it's really difficult to overtake there. And yeah, let's see if we get some good action.
Brilliant. Well, thanks for your time today, Andre. Don't go anywhere, because we've got 37 laps of wheel-to-wheel racing coming up very soon for a race under the lights here in Diriyah.
I think I'll take over presenting duties. I'm more qualified. Anyway, so we are going to get underway. We'll be on here at 4:30 GMT, and then we'll lights out at 5 p.m. Also, don't forget, we're going to have the final practice session. Our radio watch-along coverage will be underway for the WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, the IMSA 24 Hours at Daytona. Their final session gets underway at 4:15 p.m. GMT. So, Vern on pole, Evans alongside. I can't wait to see what the racing brings. Join us later when Jess Ball will join us in the comms box for the first race here in Diriyah. Take care. Bye-bye.